Dr. Peter Glidden here, your steadfast advocate for health. Thanks for your trust and your time. Let's talk about obesity, weight gain, and weight loss from the proper perspective, which is the holistic medical perspective. Your medical doctor may be the nicest person that God ever created, but your medical doctor is not trained in medicine. Your medical doctor is trained in one particular type of medicine. It's referred to as allopathic medicine. Allopathic medical doctors are trained in a reductionistic view of the body and the world. And reductionism is an old-fashioned, outdated medical viewpoint, which, when brought to bear on subjects like obesity, gives us, well, horrible results. While the MDs have been in exclusive control over the development and the delivery of medicine, obesity in adults has increased by 60%. This just in the last 20 years. In children, it's worse. In the last 30 years, in the childhood population in the U.S., obesity has tripled. 1/3 of Americans are obese. 6 million kids seriously overweight. What are parents to do? Well, I'll tell you, the first thing to do is look somewhere other than your medical doctor for this advice, because they are not educated in the proper perspective here. I mean, you're welcome to your own opinion, but you most certainly are not welcome to your own set of facts. While the MDs have been running the ship of medicine, navigating the ship of medicine, obesity has become an out-of-control phenomenon. Now, by way of perspective, I'm a licensed naturopathic doctor. The initials after my name are ND. In order to become a licensed naturopathic doctor in the U.S., you have to do 4 years pre-med, 4 years naturopathic medical school, 1,000 hours of clinical supervision, pass national boards, pass state boards, secure at least 20 hours of continuing education credit every year, and of course you have to have a license to practice medicine. As of 2018, there are 24 states in the United States which regulate and license the practice of naturopathic medicine. I am currently licensed in the great state of Minnesota. Now, conventional medicine and conventionally trained nutritionists are schooled in the reductionistic point of view. And the reductionistic point of view really just doesn't give us the best results. Let's look at Weight Watchers, for example. Arguably one of the most famous weight loss organizations in the United States. According to their own research, the average weight loss by somebody who does Weight Watchers is 5% after 6 months. And then 1/3 of that weight that was lost will come back within 2 years. So the program delivers really, really shallow results, which are, quite frankly, laughable. Harvard University, bastion of conventionally trained medical doctors, the researchers there were bold enough to say that behavioral, psychological, and social factors are probably, emphasis here, probably, far more important for weight loss than the mix of nutrients in a diet, and this is absolutely positively wrong. Now, most people reading this would think, well, nutrients don't have anything to do with it. That's what Harvard University says. But if that were correct, then they would not have used the word probably, number one. And number two, the last person you want to go to in order to get advice about medical nutrition is someone who doesn't have any training in medical nutrition. I mean, if you needed knee surgery, you would not go to a chiropractor for advice about which scalpel to use, which anesthesia to use, which suture material to use, which surgical procedure to use. Do I need a titanium knee or do I need something else? You wouldn't go to them for that because that's not their wheelhouse, and everybody knows that. Your medical doctor may be the nicest person God ever created, but they have no training, no experience, little respect, and little appreciation for medical nutrition. This statement by Harvard University is 100% completely incorrect. But let's be honest, most people don't even know how to pronounce naturopathy, let alone that naturopathic medicine exists as a separate licensed and regulated primary care medical profession. So we take the MD's advice, even when it fails us. And it has failed us so much that obesity now is looked at as the new normal. The thought process being that, well, we've thrown everything we could at obesity. We've tried to help people secure healthy body weights for a century now, and it's not working. So maybe being overweight, maybe being morbidly obese is normal. So instead of encouraging these people to get on board with weight loss strategies and criticizing them for their weight, we should just accept them. This is how bad it has become. Now, you might think also that exercise has something to do with it, but there have been over 60 studies published, 60 published studies, over 60 published studies, which prove that not only is there no relationship between exercise and weight loss, but if you do exercise, it's going to be harder for you to lose weight. Now, this might all seem crazy to you, but this is published research, and from the proper perspective, everything makes sense. So let me help you to understand this now and really help you to get a grip on what to do for the first time in your life to gain and maintain a healthy body weight. Let's start with World War II. Bet you didn't think I was going to go there. It's a harsh metaphor, but there were no inmates of the concentration camps of World War II who were overweight. It did not matter what their pre-existing health conditions were. It did not matter their age, their sex, their race. None of that mattered. Didn't matter how much they weighed when they entered the camp. If they survived the camp, when they came out, they were skinny as a rail. Why is this? Because the leading driver of weight gain is the consumption of too many calories. Too many calories. There can be psychological components that people eat to comfort themselves, but these situations are the exception rather than the rule. And how do I know that? Well, because overeating happens in the animal kingdom too, and I'm pretty sure the horse who overeats didn't have an abusive father or mother. There's a peculiar behavior that happens with animals called pica or cribbing. And when an animal develops this behavior, it will eat whatever it can. Horses will eat the wood on the stall. They'll eat dirt. They'll eat rocks. They'll eat whatever they can. They're driven to consume things. Same thing happens with human beings, and this is why people become overweight, because they eat too many calories. And it's not psychological, it's physiological, and I'll explain that in a minute. So we've known for a long time that the consumption of too many calories is the leading driver of being overweight or obese. But nobody asks the simple question, well, what causes people or animals to overeat? The answer is simple. It's chronic deficiencies in essential nutrients, especially minerals. There are 90 essential nutrients that human beings need in order for their bodies to function properly. And 60 of those 90, the lion's share, 2/3, 66% of your body's nutrient needs are minerals. These are things like calcium and phosphorus and magnesium and potassium. Only problem with minerals is the only way they get into the food supply, the only way they get into the human body or the animal body is if they're present in the soil. Because our bodies cannot make minerals. Our bodies cannot make vitamins, essential fatty acids or amino acids either, nor can a cow's body or a horse's body or a plant. The only place that minerals come from is the soil. Some minerals get into the water and we drink the water, but the lion's share of minerals are found in the soil. Now remember, there are 60 minerals that your body needs in order to be healthy and to function the way that nature and God intended it to. But there's no place on God's green earth where all 60 minerals are found in the soil. It just doesn't exist, number one. And number two, the minerals that are in the soil are becoming depleted by the way that farmers farm the soil. Here's an interesting fun fact to know and tell. In order for the mineral, let's say calcium, that's in the soil to get into the plant and then into your body when you eat that plant, it has to be pre-digested by bacteria that are in the soil. So the calcium has to be in the soil in the first place, and then the bacteria has to be in the soil, and the bacteria has to eat it. And then it excretes the digested mineral, which is sucked up by the root of the plant and goes into the body of the plant. And voila, you have a perfect mineral for human consumption. Interestingly enough, the use of pesticides and herbicides not only kills the bugs which are on the leaves of the plant, but it soaks down into the soil and kills the bacteria that are in the soil. So even now, if there are minerals in the soil, the plant has a much harder time sucking them up because the bacteria that need to pre-digest the mineral have been destroyed by the pesticide or the herbicide. Again, you're welcome to your own opinion, but not your own set of facts. Here's a graph from 1900 to the year 2000. The amounts of phosphorus, selenium, copper, magnesium, cobalt, calcium, zinc, and iron in the soil. They're getting less and less and less and less and less and less over time, which is why obesity is increasing and increasing and increasing, and other chronic diseases are as well. It's not genetic. It's because the food that you are eating has less and less essential nutrients in it, especially minerals. And here's how that works. If this tank represents your body's nutrient needs, in order for everything to work the way that nature and God intended it, your tank has to be topped off every day with all 90 essential nutrients. 60 minerals, 16 vitamins, 12 amino acids, 2 essential fatty acids. Now here we come to the fundamental difference between how a holistic physician like myself understands how the body works and an MD understands how the body works. Medical doctors do not believe in anything that they cannot measure. So because nobody has dissected the spirit or the soul out of the human body, to the medical doctor it does not exist. Your medical doctor is trained to believe that your body is a bag of biochemicals waiting to break. It has no inherent self-healing properties, which is why the medical doctor is trained to deliver drugs and surgeries which manage your condition. So when a medical doctor sees somebody who's obese, they recommend you cut the stomach out, gastric bypass surgery. Or if that's too extreme, let's just wrap a belt around the stomach and tighten it so not as much food can go in the stomach, which, from my point of view, is just this side of insanity. You're not overweight because you have a stomach. You know, that's like thinking you have high blood pressure because you have a heart. No. There's something out of balance in the body which is causing you to eat too many calories. It's lack of nutrients. So, remember, less and less and less minerals in the soil, which means that most people just eating food, not supplementing with the proper nutritional supplements, their nutritional tank is less than half full because the nutrients that your body needs are not all present in the food. So as time goes by, your body gets more and more and more and more nutritionally deficient, and then you experience the stress of life. It burns right through your nutrient reserves. Now your body is running on nutrient fumes. And holistic physicians argue that your body has intelligence, that the spiritual force which inhabits your body is running the show. There are millions of biochemical processes happening in your body right now that are completely outside of your control. It's automatic. Somebody's in charge. We argue it's the spiritual force in your body which is running the show. It has intelligence. So, from our point of view, your body knows when it is nutritionally satisfied, and it knows when it's running on nutritional fumes. It also knows that if it keeps running on nutritional fumes, something's going to break. So, when your body becomes nutritionally deficient, it activates your appetite and it makes you crave calories. It does the same thing with animals. When an animal's body becomes nutritionally deficient, it starts craving whatever it can, starts eating whatever it can. not because it had, a difficult childhood, but because it's nutritionally deficient. So when your body is nutritionally deficient, you'll go to Red Lobster or Olive Garden. You're starving to death. You pound down 2,000 calories in 30 minutes. You go home, and then 3 hours later, you're hungry again. And you start to think, well, maybe there is something wrong with me. Maybe I do have the fat gene because I can't control how much I'm eating. I need to eat. I need to satisfy the urge. And I'm arguing that the only reason the urge is present in the first place is because your body is starving for essential nutrients. Starving for essential nutrients. And what happens after that? You eat and 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 you eat because you have to. You cannot win this fight with Mother Nature. Too many calories? You're overweight. Now, guess what happens with an undernutrified body when you exercise? You burn right through your nutrient reserves even faster. So if you are exercising to lose weight and you're on a restricted calorie diet, it's going to backfire. The exercise is going to burn through your limited nutrient reserves faster, and your appetite is going to increase. It's going to be harder to resist the cravings. This is why Jenny Craig and Weight Watchers ultimately fail, because people just can't resist their innate cravings. And the innate cravings are not there because you have a psychological illness or because you have a bad gene. It's simply because you're nutritionally deficient. And your medical doctor, having no training in this, misses it. And more's the pity. So what do we do to fix it? Well, it's easy. We fill up the tank. We give you all 90 essential nutrients in recipes that your body can actually absorb. Listen, I've been doing this for 29 years, and I'm here to tell you that not all nutritional supplements are created equally. Nutritional supplements are like chicken soup. There's a great deal of difference from bowl to bowl based on too many variables. Same with wine. All wine is made from grapes, but there's a great deal of difference from bottle to bottle. It's the same with nutritional supplements. The most effective, most absorbable nutritional supplements that I've seen in 29 years of clinical work as a licensed naturopathic doctor are available through EiffelHealth.com. EiffelHealth.com. Call them up. Tell them you want the 90 essential nutrients for a weight loss program. 888-618-1796. 888-618-1796. And they will be able to help you get on board, arguably for the first time in your life, with all 90 essential nutrients. And that is a game changer, because once your body is nutritionally satisfied, your craving for calories naturally disappears, gets much less, becomes manageable. So now you go to Olive Garden, you only eat a third of what's on your plate, you're full, you're satisfied, you take the rest home in a doggy bag and you eat it the next day for lunch. And as you reduce your calories, naturally and spontaneously, you lose weight. There's one more trick here, one more piece to this puzzle. Interestingly enough, for the last, 60 years more or less, we have let the people who make the food tell us what food is good for us, and we have let medical professionals who have no training in medical nutrition tell us what foods are good for us, and this is another train wreck. There are 12 foods that you should not even look at, let alone eat. You can get the list of the 12 bad foods on my website, Glidden.healthcare, for free. You can also watch a video there for free which explains why these foods are bad. Now look, again, this isn't rocket science. If every time you took your car to the gas tank, and you need unleaded gas, most cars use unleaded gas. Well, if you put 10 gallons of unleaded gas in your gas tank and 10 gallons of diesel fuel, it's only a matter of time until something bad happens to the engine. And there's nothing wrong with the engine. You were just unwittingly putting the wrong fuel in the tank. It's the same with the human body. When you eat food that is inappropriate for the body. One thing that happens is it damages the tissues in your body which absorb nutrients, which makes it harder for your body to suck what limited nutrients there are in the food out of the food into the bloodstream. And number two, they create inflammation. These foods, when eaten consistently, generate inflammation in the body. You know how the body fights inflammation? By producing an innate biochemical called cortisol. Now, you know what prednisone was modeled after? Cortisol. You ever seen somebody who's on prednisone? You know what happens to them? They blow up like a blueberry. Because one of the side effects of prednisone supplementation, prednisone administration, is the production of body fat. It's the same with cortisol. If you are unwittingly eating foods which are pro-inflammatory, your body's going to create cortisol and cortisol and cortisol and cortisol, and it's going to generate body fat because that's one of the things that cortisol production does. So the strategy here is twofold. Number one, stop eating food that's hurting the body. Get the list at glidden.healthcare. It's free. Number two, fill your tank up with the 90 essential nutrients. Just do those two things for 90 days. Stop eating the food that's bad for you and fill your nutritional tank up every day and watch your weight melt away. By the way, holistic medicine argues that everything's connected. So what do you think is going to happen to everything else in your body once your body's nutritional tank is filled up? You think your energy is going to be better or worse? It's going to be better. You think your sleep's going to be better or worse? It's going to be better. Your heart's going to get stronger. Your bones are going to get stronger. Your joints are going to get stronger. Your body's going to get stronger across the board because everything's connected. You need essential nutrients. And unless and until you take the right essential nutrients into your body every day, you're going to be running on nutrient fumes. This is a game changer, ladies and gentlemen. Call up the good people at Eiffel Health. Go to eiffelhealth.com. Start your journey towards effective, holistic health recovery with an emphasis on healthy weight today.
Definitely get yourself a copy of Dr. Wallach's cookbook. This is basically a textbook teaching you everything you know about how to cook without the bad foods, particularly oil and gluten and all of the other problematic things on the list. This is 300 pages stuffed full of recipes, every traditional recipe that you could think of, and modern dishes without the bad foods that they're usually made from. And of course, make sure to check out our food page, Notus Foods, that's on YouTube, and at Notus Foods on Instagram. We have a lot of content up there teaching you how to cook without the bad foods that Dr. Wallach describes, and Dr. Glidden's 12 bad foods, all of that, all of the rules that you need to know. And we have experienced chefs and bakers who will answer the questions in those inboxes. And definitely check out my book, Fake Diseases. It covers all of the major topics that come up, like birth defects, blood sugar problems, bone and joint problems, cancer, autoimmune problems, and more. And it's on Amazon for just $9.99. And the audiobook read-along version is free here on YouTube, and the link for that is in the description of this video. And I've also published a book in response to some of Dr. Wallach's criticisms, including the major articles that have been written against him on the internet. So if you are a Dr. Wallach fan or a YGYOntario distributor, I definitely recommend having this book in your toolkit.